Let me start off by saying I am not trying to demean your experience of having emotions. But sadness is a healthy sign. Now, sometimes sadness can get to a point where it's just really not healthy, and I'll leave it up to you to know when that happens. But when we feel sad, there's a reason, and our body is trying to tell us something that needs to change. But most often, it's just telling us how we feel about a situation based on our unconscious expectations or conscious expectations that have or have not been met. Now, when we see sadness as a messenger, we can begin to understand that if we did not have this messenger, it would be very hard for us to make sound decisions in matters of the heart or anything that makes us emotional. So just for a moment, think about something that you might feel a little sad about, and just try saying thank you to the messenger. Take a deep breath, maybe do that a few more times if it feels comfortable. Now, often we're sad about something that just specifically happened in our life. Like, for instance, I wanted to get a job and I didn't get that job, or I wanted to win some sort of competition and I did not. But those are really clear. And when you have instances like that, the best thing you can do is just feel the sadness. Really let yourself feel it. You know the trigger, you know the reason, then you know the response, and just live the whole experience to its end, and you will be cleansed, you will feel clear, and potentially even open to a new experience. Now, if we refuse to feel it, or maybe it's not the time that it's most comfortable to do that, let's say we have to work a full day and we're around people, we have to show up, we will get a subverted response of that situation. It will not just go away. If you do something fun right after you do something that makes you really sad, you didn't really get rid of the sadness. You just filled your space with another thing that can be processed. So you end up processing the sadness later. If we do this long enough, we could be completely depressed and have no idea why, but every time our body tried to make us sad, we said, you know what, I'm not going to sit with that one. And I'm talking about sadness right now, but this goes for any emotion. If it's not felt when it wants to come up, it will over time build because we're still holding that experience. It's in a holding pattern. And this could lead to anxiety, exhaustion, confusion, kind of almost dissociating, because the more and more that we have things that we're not giving its clear and appropriate space or stage, we begin to lose the ability to stay on our own stage or to choose our direction. Wisdom that comes from this concept is that spending time every day, and I'd like to thank my most recent therapist for this, take time every day to just sit and feel. And if you don't know what to feel, just feel your body. And if you do know what to feel, focus on that situation and how you felt about it, and allow yourself to feel. Just watch it. So if you've been feeling your feelings, you know how to deal with things as they come up, but still for some unknown reason, you just feel awful. Well, there's a few things that I'd like you to check in with yourself first before you make any decisions. Number one, have you been moving too fast? Have you been doing just too much? Have you been so busy that maybe what you're experiencing is the backlog of unprocessed emotions just kind of leaking into your environment, into your experience? Number two, have you been exposed to too much information or energy recently? This could be positive. It could be partying. It could be celebrations. It could be visiting family. It could be, backpacking with a group of people. But have you been overexposed? And perhaps this message coming from your body is to just slow you down and bring you back into your center. The body has amazing ways of doing that. So regardless of which of these two resonate with you or not, it's always helpful to just take a moment and just sit and feel and to be alone. I think I saw a meme recently that said, fasting from people is also important. And it gave quote credit to Bob Marley. I don't know if that's true. Who knows? The internet makes up all kinds of things. So, okay. Thank you for doing all of that. Thank you for looking into that. But here's something else to consider. We're living in a world where there are a lot of things that are happening, and that's an understatement. But we have personal lives that are very important to take care of. That's almost like our soul's ability to center in on itself requires this type of experience. Maybe it requires daily chores or dealing with some sort of nagging ailment just to keep you focused on yourself. But at the same time, we're living within a morphogenetic field. I use that word a lot. We're living in a collective field. We're living in a shared field. Everyone thinking together at the same time and living together at the same time creates a specific field of existence that we all live within, and that's how we connect to one another. Now, this morphogenetic collective field is filled with impressions and thoughts and unfelt feelings and passive-aggressive stuff and joy and excitement and confusion, delusion, and mental illness. It's filled with everything. There is a specific field that is built in, which is the collective unconscious. The collective unconscious is going to be riddled with all of the things that as a collective, whether it's a family, a community, a society, or the world, whatever we don't want to deal with. And there are many ways to figure out what the stuff might be. You probably have some ideas right now. It's the stuff that's taboo. It's the stuff that we don't want to talk about. And let's face it, there's also like personal choice. This isn't like some collective arrangement, but I don't want to feel like shit. Okay, I'd prefer that I don't feel like shit. I prefer that I don't feel terrible, even though at times that's what's called for, to feel in the mix. I give it these names, terrible or shitty. But really what I'm saying is like to feel kind of down, depressed, not as active and lit up. I do that when I don't want to feel that. I try every day. To find a place where I can walk with that. And if I can't, I go and I sit. Shiva's in my chair right now, looking really cute. Snuggle bunny. I sit in my chair and I meditate and I feel what I need to feel. But overall, there's a lot of feelings that just aren't getting the time, the energy, the award ceremonies that they deserve, and they're not really the good ones, the good guys. They're the ones that people don't like to feel. So if you find that now and then you just feel kind of awful for seemingly no reason, it's always good to check in. Do some journaling, take a deep breath, and just see if there's something trying to get your attention. And if it just feels like generalized anxiety, maybe it's just something you're picking up from the environment. Because if someone starts a fire 3 towns over and the wind brings that smoke over here, I had nothing to do with that fire, right? I don't know any of those people. I didn't start the fire. But if I breathe in that smoke, it affects me. It's kind of a good metaphor for understanding how the emotional realms might work, except I would have used a water metaphor. But that in no way means it's not yours to feel. Okay, emotions generate from within, and you can feel someone else's emotions, like you can notice them. But the things that you emote, those are yours to feel. So if you pick up on something from the environment, that's now yours to feel. It may have not originated from you, and you are not responsible for solving its creation, but it's yours to feel. And so the very nuanced key here is to understand that once you feel something, that's yours to feel through to completion, and to not blame an outer experience or another person for the fact that you feel that. Because you feel that because you wanted to feel that. Is it yours? Are you responsible for it? No. No, not if it originates from out of you. You did not create it. And even if you do something that causes someone around you to feel a certain way, you are not responsible for the fact that they feel it now. That is their job to feel it, but it is important to look at yourself and say, maybe if I didn't use the word bitch when I was talking to them, they wouldn't feel that way. Maybe apologize and take responsibility. But once these feelings have been created in another from an action that maybe we have taken, we can't really do anything about that. That is the other person's job to feel to completion, but we can apologize and we can notice whether or not we want to do that, whether that was helpful, whether or not we want to do it again, and maybe even make peace around that with the person. So if you notice that you're feeling things that you don't think originated from you, use your gifts to sit, feel, notice, let go, and maybe even ask, what is this teaching me? Who knows? It might just be teaching you not to expose yourself to certain levels of information. It might be showing you not to turn on the television. It might be showing you to just mind your own damn business. Or it might be showing you something about yourself that you needed to feel, that you needed to hear, that you needed to see, and it's coming to you in the form of grace as opposed to karma. Karma would be if you had to have an experience that was so intense to force you to feel that, as opposed to just noticing that someone else is feeling it and then feeling it yourself, and maybe using that filter of the feeling as it goes through you. It's like a net, and it catches on parts of us that are maybe a little grumpy, a little crunchy. And then we're like, heck, I got that part. I have that thing in me. And then you know. And you can say, I don't need to walk around with that, because the same way that we go and we do yoga to open up our muscles and open up our tissues, we also have an etheric and energetic and emotional body. And when there's crunchiness in there, we have to breathe, feel, and think freely in order to clear that part of ourselves. So have gratitude, my friends, for these feelings, whether it's coming from you, whether the sadness is because you're sad because your football team lost by 3 points at the end of the game, and they should have just kicked that field goal at the end of the first half. Anyway, even if the situation made you sad specifically, have gratitude. This is a messenger. This is a healing portal. This net will clear through you and have you open to a new experience. But the only thing you have to do is you have to sit and feel. And then have gratitude for the collective feelings that find you, because this is informing you about the world that you live in. This is teaching you what the world needs. This is a playbook for understanding the nuance and the complication of being a human being. Being a human being, being a human being, a human, being human. Human. I am definitely being a human being. I know that every time some emotion or intense mood washes up on your shores, it will actually leave just as quickly. Do your best not to attach yourself to these feelings, because when we think and believe things, we tie a little knot and we hook ourselves to a way of thinking. And when we think that way, it generates more and more of that feeling, of that emotion. So we don't want to attach ourselves to them, because then they stay all the time until we detach. And unattaching is much harder than attaching. We're not talking about being delusional here. Remind yourself of what is actually happening. It's actually quite helpful if you feel terrible anxiety or feel really sad to literally write down like, oh, this is what I'm actually facing. Because then that's real, and your mind and your heart can say, I think we can get behind this. I think we can make a plan. But if it's generalized, that's impossible to wrap your head around. So don't let yourself wallow in that space. At least make something out of it. One tip that was taught to me is every single day, look at the account balances of all of the things that you have, credit card debt you have due, or how much money you have in your checkings or your savings account, or you have invested in Bitcoin or whatever, your car loan, how much there is, what the interest rate is. Familiarize yourself with the financial obligations that you have if money is something that's stressing you out. If you feel you have some sort of health condition and you're worried about that, look at how much you sleep every night. Look at what you eat every day, and remind yourself whether or not you exercise or you really take care of yourself, because just be honest with yourself, and it's so much more helpful than allowing something to be generalized, because the general, the non-specific, exists everywhere in all possibilities at all times. And the specific exists right where it exists, right there. You can get your hands on it. You can do something about it. Maybe over time we can all learn to be glad for our feelings. And as we do that, there'll be less and less that other people have to feel for us. And if you've been doing this for years, for someone, whatever, set your boundaries and watch how things change. You will have so much more energy. You'll have so much more personal power. I love you, and I thank you for watching. And I'll see all of you very soon.